Now then, to continue on with my WCW review series, I'm back with Bash of the Beach 1996. Now this is the show where everything kicks off. It's pretty slow for the first couple of hours, but then the last match, the main event, is when it all kicks off. It kickstarts professional wrestling, in my opinion. If it wasn't for this match, the Attitude Era would have never happened, I personally don't think. So let's start off. Actually no, let's just compare. This was like middle of 1995. The WWE in the middle of 1995 were putting on matches like a diaper match between Scott Hall and the 1-2-3 Kid. They were putting on matches like ladder matches, which aren't too bad. I think Shawn Michaels versus Scott Hall was a ladder match in 1995, but he now left. He wasn't there anymore. One of the guys who made that match wasn't there. WWF were in a pretty poor state. They had guys like Duke the Dumpster Josie on roster, Furman Sparky Plug, who became Hardcore Holly. The WCW, on the other hand, had bigger ideas than that. They wanted to go big. They thought, do you know what? We might as well throw a lot of money in it because we want to be the best wrestling company in the world, and by God they did it, and it all started here. Right, let's get on with the show. It started off with Rey Mysterio Jr. beating Psychosis in a really fast-paced, really good match. These two guys had a fantastic rivalry going between WCW, ECW, and I think it was AAA where they both started off against each other. Maybe CMML, I can't remember specifically which lucha company they were at, but it's a documented rivalry that they've had, and they've put on fantastic matches. This didn't disappoint. This was a very good match to start off the show, you know, get the crowd really hyped up straight away. Then we had John Tenta versus Big Bubba Rogers. I'm pretty sure they had a match at the last pay-per-view that I reviewed. Yeah, this was rubbish. It was a Carson City Silver Dollar match, where basically they had a sock full of coins on top of a massive pole. Now this was a massive pole. This wasn't your regular pole where the guy could stand on top of the top rope and reach it. They had to have Jimmy Hart scale up to get it. Jimmy Hart was in the corner of Big Bubba Rogers, and he'd previously been in the corner of John Tenta. So yeah, basically these guys are fighting out and they can't get up there, so Big Bubba Rogers sends up Jimmy Hart to go and get it. Jimmy Hart goes and gets it, and he's thinking, yeah, I've got it. He holds it back to give it to Big Bubba Rogers and turns around and he's like, oh shit. Big Bubba Rogers has been knocked on his ass, and it's John Tenta there to grab the coins, and he knocks Jimmy Hart off the top rope, which I remember thinking was quite drastic for a manager to take that kind of bump. I can't remember if he hit the floor or not, but I remember when he pushed him off there. I thought that was, you know, quite a big bump for Jimmy Hart to take. Yeah, pretty rubbish match in all honesty. Not happy that I watched this. This isn't one I'm going to remember in memory as for positive reasons, especially compared to the Rey Mysterio Psychosis match, which was just wow. This is just a bit like, yeah, you know, Rey Mysterio Psychosis, trendsetters, groundbreaking. You can use all those type of superlatives to describe them. Like, those kind of matches aren't too like special anymore, because you know we've seen a lot more of that kind of stuff. But back then we hadn't seen that kind of stuff, so that was really good. Right. Anyway, Tenta beat Big Bubba Rogers, and it was a pretty rubbish match. Next up we have DDP versus Jim Duggan in a taped fist match. They've been feuding over the last few Nitros because DDP had won a Battle Bowl ring, and I think I mentioned that in my last video. And it had gone missing. And then Mean Gene Okerlund in the back said to Jim Duggan, have you stolen his ring? And he said, no. Do I look like the kind of guy who wears jewellery? I didn't steal that. Then at the end of the show, we see it on Duggan's fist. He's got the ring there, and he says, "If you want it, you come and get it." And then they have this match where it's a tape fist match. DDP ends up winning after the match. I think Duggan takes all the tape off and then starts knocking DDP out. But yeah, DDP got the win again, and rubbish match, like nothing to talk about. Just stupid kind of stuff. All this kind of stuff was happening in the WWF, but WCW was so ahead of their time. I'm watching WWF 1997 series at the moment, and like they're at the same level that WCW are in 1995. But anyway, let me keep going. I'll keep referring to other things. Nasty Boys beat Public Enemy in a double dog collar match. This was actually surprisingly good. It wasn't your classic 5-star wrestling match. It was a nice little brawl. Not too much was great in it. Not too much was bad. It was just nice. It was a nice little change. It was not. I'm used to seeing real garbage matches from the Nasty Boys and Public Enemy, but this, it was a little bit different. It was better. It was better than their usual stuff, in my opinion. And yeah, the Nasty Boys went over. They'd been feuding over Nitro, but nothing spectacular to talk about. Then we had Dean Malenko beating the Disco Inferno in a Cruiserweight title match. Disco Inferno, what a crap gimmick that was. And it was an okay match. Dean Malenko got the win. Again, nothing of note in this match, but yeah, I'm still doing a review. Why? Because it all comes at the end. The end is the bit that you want to hear about. If you don't want to listen to these matches, skip to the end. Right, we have got Steve Mongo McMichael versus Joe Gomez. Now, Joe Gomez is one of the very few people in professional wrestling that, when I was watching this match, I was like, who is that? I've got a really good memory for this kind of thing, and I can remember stupid tag teams like Techno Team 2000 who debuted in the WWE in like early 1995, I think it was. But did I say this was 1995 earlier on? This was 1996. I think I might have said it was 1995, but no, it was 1996. Anyway, yeah, so Joe Gomez, who is this guy? And it had a rubbish match with Steve Mongo McMichael. I remember Mongo looked so green in this match compared to when he was being carried by Arn Anderson and Ric Flair in the last match, last pay-per-view. He didn't do too much of a good job in this. I was just wanted it to be over. I knew Mongo was going to win. He's just joined the Four Horsemen. He's getting the rub. We knew he was going to win. Come on, get the win and let's move on. He did get the win, and we're moving on now to his stablemate Ric Flair versus Conan in a good match. Now this was for the United States Championship. Now the United States Championship was a little bit better than them days than it is now, because nowadays who's got it? Dolph Ziggler, I think I mentioned that in my last video, and the feud he's got with Kofi Kingston, rubbish. This is Conan versus Ric Flair, a massive star from Mexico versus a massive star from America. These have got an absolutely awesome match here on paper, and it didn't disappoint too much. It was a good match. I'd rate it like 3.5 stars to 4 stars. Ric Flair got the win by cheating. Now I really like this. Ric Flair went over the younger guy, which isn't great because Ric Flair was getting on even then, but still, you want Ric Flair over because he's getting this Four Horsemen stuff. Anyway, Ric Flair goes over, but he won dirty, which still keeps the credibility for Conan, so Conan can come back and say, listen, you beat me and it wasn't fair, blah blah blah. If he'd gone over him dirtily, like I'm sure Kevin Nash would have done in the later days WCW, that wouldn't have worked out too well. But yeah, he went over dirtily. I think it was a woman hit Conan with a heel of a shoe, and then Ric Flair had his feet on the top rope, not just the bottom or the middle rope. He had his feet on the top rope when he was covering Conan, which, you know, made him just look, oh, you dirty heel. I don't like you, Ric Flair. You just cheated Conan out of it. He should be champion still. Yeah, it was a good match. Then we have the semi-main event, the Giant and Kevin Sullivan versus Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit. Now, if Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit won, then a member of the Four Horsemen would have got a world title shot the next night on Raw. And seeing as Ric Flair had just won the United States Championship, I was thinking, wow, we're going to have the world champion versus the United States champion tomorrow night when they get the win. They didn't get the win. It was a nice little swerve there, like, look, we're not going to give you that. We're going to have Giant and Sullivan beat Anderson and Benoit. And it was a bit weird at the end because you had Anderson and Sullivan. Anderson checked if Sullivan was alright while they were both down on the mat at the end of the match. Now, it was the sort of thing where if I'd noticed it, I just would have gone, oh, they're just working, they just botched a little bit. That's a commonly used word, isn't it? Botch. Yeah, he just botched a little bit by letting us see on camera that he's checking on him. But it wasn't. Tony Schiavone mentioned it, so I was like, what are they trying to do here in this storyline? They just turned on him the month before. Are they really trying to put them back together already? I really hope not. But yeah, Giant and Sullivan got the win. It was an okay match. You know, Sullivan he's got a great mind for the business, so he can put on a good match. Benoit and Anderson, great. And Giant was green as grass, but still, it was a good match. And then finally, right, here we go. The Outsiders. Now I can put this down now because I don't even need that. The Outsiders. They've been invading WCW for weeks. This is what my review's all about. This is the main reason why I wanted to do this entire series for this one show. And the subsequent what happens. Nash and Hall had been invading. They are the Outsiders. They've come from outside. They've come from the WWF, and we as WCW fans don't like them. They've come in here and they want to take out our guys. They are damaging our company. We don't want them. They've been here before. We didn't like them then. Why should we like them now? Now that they're big superstars from Vince McMahon, they've come in here and they're heels. They've attacked Eric Bischoff, the head of our company, the very last month, the very last pay-per-view that's just been on. So then they were granted a match 3 on 3, sorry, who they've got a mystery partner, and they're going to go against Sting, Randy Savage and Lex Luger. They all paint themselves to look like Sting, which I thought was quite strange, because why did they make Sting the leader of the group? Why? They just looked a bit silly all coming down in the same face paint, because Luger and Savage don't need face paint. It was a bit too childish for my liking. No, they're just getting a new era of professional wrestling. Why have this little bit of silliness in there? It didn't take away from the match, don't get me wrong. I just a random thought at the beginning of the match, like, we don't need this. This is a bridge too far, in my opinion. Anyway, so the match starts, and we've got Scott Hall in the ring with Sting. With Lex Luger. For some reason, Lex Luger ends up on the turnbuckle with Nash piled over him. Sting comes out of nowhere to try and Stinger splash Nash. He hits him, but then he squashes Luger underneath him. Luger goes out to the outside. Oh shit, Luger needs to be taken to the back. These outsiders, they've got an extra man to come yet who's going to be fresh. It's going to be 3 on 2 against WCW. WCW have got no chance now. It's 3 on 2, and then they think, wait a minute. The whole reason how we picked Luger, Sting and Savage, the whole the way that we picked them was via a lottery. We picked these 3 guys out at random. Why don't we just bring another guy in? Why don't we bring a substitute in? In the NFL, they bring a substitute. So the commentator's like, yeah, we can bring a substitute in whenever we want. So we're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. They don't really mention it again. I forget about it. So yeah, tag team matches keep going on, and while we're continuing to speculate who's the third man, and then they stopped talking about that as well, which is really important. So they've stopped talking about the substitute, they've stopped talking about the third man, they're just getting 2 on 2 here now. So it's Sting and Savage versus Nash and Hall. Then I think it was Hall and Savage in the ring, and who starts coming down the aisle but Hulk Hogan, the ultimate good guy. Throughout of his mainstream career, ever since he left the AWA and went to the WWF, he was the ultimate good guy. In WCW, always the good guy. He comes down to the ring. He's been off shooting in Hollywood, so we've not seen him for a few weeks. We've not seen him the entire time these bad guys are around. And we can't wait, because if he was here, he would have cut an awesome promo on these guys. He would have said what awful guys they are, and he would have come and kicked their ass. And now he's coming back. He's coming down to the ring. Hogan comes down to the ring. NWA get out. The outsiders run out the ring. Hogan leans back into the ropes and then leg drops Savage. Oh my god, as he was coming down to the ring, Bobby Heenan's like, whose side is he on? And we're like, bullshit, Heenan, shut up, he's on our side, he's WCW through and through. Oh my god, he's turned his back on WCW. Hulk Hogan turned his back on WCW in one of the most shocking moments in professional wrestling history from a fully worked standpoint. I'm not talking about your this could be stand up next to things like the Montreal Screwjob. This was a really shocking moment for wrestling fans, because I don't think many people expected this. Me, as a 1996 or what, I was an 8-year-old kid, I was not expecting Hulk Hogan to join these bad guys. I had no idea about wrestling psychology though, but I'm pretty sure not many people really thought that Hulk Hogan would be joining them. Apparently it wasn't decided until the last minute that it was definitely going to be Hulk Hogan, because apparently he was a bit iffy about it and Kevin Sullivan had to talk him through it. Sting was supposed to be the guy who maybe it was the backup plan. If Hogan wasn't going to do it, they were going to use Sting to turn on him, and that would have turned out very, very differently. But instead, they had Hogan turn on him. The match is deemed a no contest, but that wasn't important. The important thing was that now these 2 outsiders have got the biggest good guy in the entire wrestling world to become bad, and they cut a promo, and the crowd litter the ring with garbage. Now you got to remember, these are like not old men, but these are like grown men and women generally in the audience. People around my age, 23 as well, well 22 at the moment, but still. People around my age, older people, older wrestling fans, and they are littering the ring with just anything they've got. Drinks are being thrown in the ring, little food wrappers, they are throwing it in the ring as if this is the worst thing they've ever seen. This made people care so much that they were littering the ring. They were angry at what had happened. They hated Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan gets on the microphone and says, oh, just cuts a promo negative on the fans, you know, laying into them a little bit. It says, this is the new world order of professional wrestling. Me and Gene Oakland's in there trying to interview him, but it was so good. If you've not seen this, go and watch it. Why are you watching my video? Go and watch this. Watching it now, you don't get the same effect, but if you've not seen it before, then you do. And if you watch it in its context while watching the Nitros, for example, it's fantastic. Just watching it just really makes me realise why I'm a wrestling fan, for things like this, for things that are shocking, a total work that can just create so much buzz around it through fans, sort of like the CM Punk thing now, but the CM Punk thing was sort of like, tried to make it seem like it was real. This thing, they weren't even trying to make, well actually yeah, they were trying to make it seem like it was real, because it was the guys from the outside coming in. This worked really, really well, and this is the biggest surprise in professional wrestling history in my opinion. Have you seen the show? What did you think of the show? What do you think of the NWA in general? What do you think of this review? Do you like the series? Are you going to continue to watch the WCW videos? Are you not interested? People write on these videos saying, oh, why are you reviewing old shows? I understand their point of view. They just want to talk about what's going on now, and you know, I've got nothing against that. I like talking about stuff now, hence my last video, but sometimes I like to talk about the classic stuff, the stuff that really made me passionate about professional wrestling and a big fan that makes me watch it to this day. So yeah, what do you think? Please let me know down here. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down right down here as well, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button if you like my videos, because I do appreciate the subscribers and comments and all that good stuff. So yeah, with that, I'm out. Thank you for watching.